Structure has not relocated. It is being tested. The hourly boundary remains defined by repeated session anchor overlap. Recent Asia and US reference candles are stacked closely together. Upper and lower edges are no longer isolated. They are layered. The 19 Asia session moved upward to test the upper edge of the 17 New York reference zone. That area aligned with the lower boundary of the 16 US session anchor. Interaction occurred there. Continuation did not. Price failed to persist above that overlap. Duration was short. Compression followed. The 20 US session reference then formed at the upper edge of the 19 US box. That level also aligned precisely with the upper boundary of the 18 US range. Multiple session memories converged at one location. Stacked structure increases weight. Price then expanded through the 17 Asia reference boundary. It moved toward the upper edge of the 17 US session box. Interaction was visible. Persistence was limited. The 22 Asia session began near the point where the 20 MA and 120 MA overlapped. Slope convergence was tight. Distance between the averages was minimal. Structural compression dominated. That new Asia anchor formed almost directly inside the prior 17 Asia session box. Containment increased. Overlap intensified. Relocation slowed. The 20 MA attempted to cross above the 120 MA. Continuation failed. Slope flattened. Distance contracted. Price then compressed downward toward the 05 Asia reference boundary. Lower memory was revisited. Rejection was sharp. Expansion followed. After that response, price moved back through the 19 US session lower boundary. It continued toward the upper edge of that same box. Containment remained active. No structural relocation has been confirmed. The 20 Bollinger Band widened early during Asia. The lower band expanded more aggressively than the upper band. Volatility skewed downward first. Imbalance was temporary. Later, the upper band contracted. The lower band slope reduced and began flattening. Volatility redistributed. Expansion transitioned into compression. The 4 Bollinger Band expanded rapidly during early session movement. Width increased quickly. Then contraction followed. Then another expansion cycle began. Short-term volatility is oscillating inside higher timeframe containment. Expansion appears visible. Duration remains limited. Structure is negotiating weight. The 1H range still governs. Overlap still dominates. Containment remains intact. Volatility is redistributing inside overlapping session structure. The 1H chart shows repeated anchor stacking without full relocation. Session boundaries are not spaced widely apart. They are compressed against one another. Structural weight accumulates where overlap increases. The 20 MA slope has shifted multiple times without persistent direction. It steepened briefly during upward expansion. It flattened as continuation failed. It rotated downward during compression. These slope changes occurred inside the same hourly containment field. Distance between the 20 MA and 120 MA narrowed significantly. When averages converge, expansion must work harder to extend. Slope convergence reduces momentum duration. The 120 MA maintained broader structural weight. Its slope remained relatively stable. Shorter-term slope shifts attempted relocation. Longer-term weight resisted. This creates tension. Short-term expansion versus longer-term structural memory. Fluctuation versus containment. Duration becomes the deciding factor. The 20 Bollinger Band behavior reinforces this. Initial Asia expansion widened the lower band sharply. That widening signaled volatility increase. But slope symmetry never formed. Upper band contraction followed quickly. The lower band flattened instead of accelerating. This shift indicates redistribution rather than continuation. Compression replaced directional imbalance. Flat states persisted for several candles. Bandwidth stopped expanding. Slope reduced. Distance stabilized. Flatness dominated. Containment strengthened. Overlap remained unresolved. Duration increased without relocation. The 4 Bollinger Band showed sharper cycles. Rapid expansion occurred during rejection from the lower Asia boundary. Contraction followed as price re-entered the overlapping session range. Another expansion formed during movement through the 19 US lower boundary. Short-term volatility cycles are frequent. Higher timeframe containment is slower. The difference is structural weight. Lower timeframe expands quickly but compresses faster. RSI regime reflected this redistribution. Momentum accelerated during the sharp rejection. It decelerated as price approached the overlapping upper boundary. Slope shifted without sustained persistence. Multiple anchor interactions have occurred within a narrow hourly band. 17 Asia, 17 US, 19 US, 20 US. Each has been revisited. Each has been engaged. None has produced durable relocation. Containment persists. Distance between highs and lows inside this range has widened briefly, but duration above boundaries has remained short. Acceptance requires persistence. Persistence has been limited. Flat states return repeatedly. Bandwidth compresses again. Slope neutralizes. Time extends inside containment. Volatility appears active. Structure remains layered. Overlap defines the field. The 15-minute chart is fluctuating inside the hourly containment. Lower timeframe movement respects the 1H session anchors. Interaction occurs precisely near overlapping boundaries. Expansion attempts cluster near those edges. Continuation fades inside them. When price moved through the 19 US lower boundary, 15M candles expanded with increasing body size. Slope of the 20 MA steepened temporarily. Distance from the 120 MA widened slightly. That expansion slowed as price approached the upper edge of the same hourly box. Candle bodies reduced. Upper wicks increased. Slope flattened. The 15M20 MA rotated upward quickly during rejection from the 05 Asia boundary. Its angle increased sharply for several candles. Distance from the 120 MA expanded briefly. Momentum appeared concentrated. Then compression returned. The 4 Bollinger Band contracted tightly. Bandwidth narrowed for multiple cycles. Flat candles formed consecutively. Flat states dominated again. Overlap reasserted structural weight. Short-term volatility could not sustain slope. Containment absorbed expansion. The 20 Bollinger Band on 15M widened during impulse movement. Upper and lower bands diverged rapidly. Soon after, upper band slope reduced. Lower band flattened. Volatility cycles repeat quickly on this layer. But each cycle terminates near the same hourly boundaries. The 1H structure defines the space. 15M behavior negotiates within it. Repeated interaction with the 17 Asia reference is visible. Repeated approach to the 19 US upper edge is visible. Duration at those boundaries remains brief. Acceptance has not formed. The hourly moving averages continue to cluster. Slope differences are minimal. Distance remains constrained. Structural compression remains active. Lower timeframe fluctuations create visible energy. Higher timeframe overlap absorbs it. Expansion appears frequently. Relocation remains absent. Price continues oscillating between stacked session anchors. Volatility redistributes without persistent extension. Containment defines the field. Processing continues inside layered session memory.